Eloise here. This week I wanted to talk some more about intuition. Hey, Eloise Ansell here. I'm an intuitive healer based in the UK. And today the topic of intuition pinged back, which is one of my favourite topics. I've done loads of courses over the years on intuition, structuring the intuition, like learning to trust our intuition. All of these topics are massive. We can't really improve our intuition. It's kind of there. Everyone's intuitive. But we can get better at understanding it, interpreting, and working with it. And when you get started and you're kind of like wanting to improve, in quotes, your intuition, there's a few things that we could talk about. And what came up to chat about today is being quiet. So, what do I mean by being quiet? Well, when we're busy and we're like, I don't know, like running late or we're stressed out in some way, it's very difficult to listen to that inner voice. And the best way of training ourselves to get to the point where our inner voice, our intuition can talk to us when we are stressed out and running for the bus and go a lot on, because it can talk to us in those moments, but we need to get it to a space where we can work with a bit more and it like gain trust with it. I always use this weird analogy. I don't know where I came up with this from, but it's like trying to coach a little kitten from behind the sofa. You know that you can't quite reach them and they're there. You're trying to get them out. It feels like that sometimes with our intuition. Like we know it's there and we don't seem to be able to reach it, but we're trying to get it out. So being quiet, A, won't scare the kitten, but it gives us a space where we're saying, okay, intuition, I'm here for you. What do you want to tell me? And so that can be meditating. It could be just sitting with yourself and seeing what shows up. It could be journaling. Like I'm a big fan of morning pages. Don't do it all the time, but it pings back in and out when I feel like I want to do that. If you don't know what that is, look up The Artist's Way. Everyone always talks about morning pages from that book. It's brilliant. Um, but like just journaling and doing that kind of free flow of consciousness, things will pop up and you're like, where did that come from? You're giving the space, the quietness for things to come up. And so sometimes you might work better where you're doing something interactive, like you're writing, or maybe you're drawing, or you're just doing doodles or something. Like sometimes you might work better if you're actually doing something. And for others of you, like meditating and just being in quiet might be good. So you could go and take a long walk in nature on your own, or um, yeah, just doing something or being in a space which kind of feels like it's opening the door to the intuition. Certainly when we're in nature, we're in a different kind of vibe, a different energy, and it can take the brain into a better brain state where we access it more naturally. That space just gives us the first step of saying, hey, intuition, I'm here for you. What have you got to tell me? And listening. Now, the key thing is not to ignore what it tells you. It tells you to do something, you act on it. Because that scared kitten behind the sofa that you're trying to coach out, if when you finally get it out, you hit it and you're like, I'm dismissing you. Obviously, I'm not advocating hitting kittens, but if you do something and you're like, well, that was rubbish, and you throw it away, it's not going to really want to come and play with you. So, we really want to honor what we hear from our intuition as well. We're learning to trust each other, we're learning to work together as a team. And it can, your intuition's always there. It's always talking to you, but sometimes we just can't hear it because we're too busy. So, trying to make some space in your life, as I said, space could be actively doing something, but something where you're not like watching YouTube or on your phone or something where you're distracted. Doing something where you've got space to think, you've got space for thoughts to come through, because intuition is kind of just structured creativity. Like sometimes when we're being creative, it sparks things, but sometimes when we're just quiet, it'll talk. So giving it that space is beginning to gently coach that kitten out and saying, "Hey, I'm ready here. I'm here to play with you. Come and interact." And that is my number one top tip. If you want to get in this loving relationship with your intuition and make it your best friend, so we say, it's really about starting where you're at. Now, if you may have your intuition there for you in moments, but maybe you want it more present with you, you need to put the time in to make that space to talk to it. That's my number one top tip. And then acting on whatever it tells you. Because it doesn't always make logical sense. And we don't always feel like we want to go like, do what it says. I love talking to my friends and I hear these little nudges they get to do things and then their life changes. And it's always fascinating. I want to collect them at some point and put them together. And it's so cool how we can get those little like nudges and those little like, oh, go do this, or leave the house now, here's a reason, you meet someone and your life changes. It's so fun. We want to be living in that space all day, and so we need to start putting the effort in of saying hey to the kitten, coaching the kitten there, so that we've got this beautiful beautiful time together. I hope that makes sense. So it really is like, if you want to make your intuition your best friend and have it accessible all the time, you have to put this groundwork in order to get it in a more stable place where you can hear and trust it and know that it's there for you in every moment of the day. So, this is just one of many things that you can do to get your intuition going. I do have a mini course that I always forget to talk about, but it's called The 11 Keys to Upgrade Your Intuition, which I recorded years ago, and it came out of a talk I did. So I did a talk about, I don't know, like 5 keys to intuition or something one evening at like a spiritual group, and they loved it. And I was like, oh, I should do something with this. So I sat down and kind of expanded it just to cover some of the basics. Now, there is like, I think it's nearly an hour-long video in 11 keys. So it's me talking about a lot of the basics around intuition. But there's also a few sessions to kind of unlock your intuition as well and make it a little bit more accessible. Because sometimes like our fear gets in the way, or we've got some judgments or something. So there's some sessions there as well, which will really support unlocking things. And I've had so many people take the 11 keys and say, thank you so much. This has reminded me of some of the basics that I have not been paying attention to. And it's made all the difference to me being able to be present with my intuition. So I call it unlocking because, well, upgrading, but you can't really upgrade. I should have called it unlocking really, but because it's already there. We're just not accessing it. But people kind of like to think they're upgrading it, but you can't really. But I recorded it years ago. It's fine. So go and check that out because it's one of my cheapest products, and as I said, it's had some great feedback. So if you want to know more about the basics of your intuition, if you really want a deep dive, look up my Intuition Talks course. And now we've got Intuition Talks Mastery, which is like another level, and then you can come and do the practical class. I'm in the middle of running a practical class at the moment, and the students are loving it. Next week is the last week, and they're like, Really sad. So we might have to run another one at some point in the new year. So if you're interested in that, let me know. Drop me an email and I will add you to the list. But check out 11 Keys if you want to hang out with me a bit more, and we really want to kind of look at your intuition in maybe in a fresh way, and remember some of the basics, because it's the basics that always make such a difference. I dance a lot, and I've been dancing for years, but I still come back to the basics and drill the basics, because that's the foundation for everything. And you might find this in things that you do in life. It's coming back to these basics that make all the difference, because we're in a different place when we hear it, and sometimes we forget stuff, or we're not doing things that we used to do a lot, and we haven't noticed that we're not doing those things. So coming back to the basics can be really helpful. So I'll put a link below to that. Check it out if you want. And yeah, if not, make some space for your intuition. You could schedule it in, you could just make it part of your daily practice. But if you haven't been making space for your intuition, now's the time to start doing it, because now is always the best time to start doing something. Unless your intuition tells you otherwise, which could happen. Okay, have a great day. Take care. Bye.